oh gosh, I don't know, decades. I think I lost decades because for years I thought all men would cheat.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
That's not a good one.
it's not. But I really believe that. I really believe that all men would cheat. And I understand why my younger self feel that way. Um, but it's kind of weird because I think about our entire relationship. So over 15 years now, I never, I mean, I know we work together now and
Right.
it'd be hard for us to find the time. But the reality is, when you had your office and I
Uh-huh.
had my office, and sometimes you were in your office till like 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, or
Right.
I remember once you went off to some client's house and whatever. I never even had the blip. I never even had to think. But what we're talking about tonight are self-limiting beliefs. And so when
Mhm.
I think back to mine, I think about how they were so overpowering. Like I didn't know how to break out of them. And yet now when I look back where I am and
Mhm.
looking backwards, I think, that was just like a blip. Like it didn't really have a hold on me. It had a hold on me because I was attached to that being the reason why I was
Oh,
single.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
So, if you had an explanation for why you were single, meaning, well, you all men are going to cheat, so why would you want to be in a relationship?
kind of.
Then that explains why you're single. Isn't that interesting?
And I mean,
So I don't know. I'm gonna delve into this a little further. Not just you, right? I mean, I think a
no, I
lot of
know it's
people
for
do this,
them. It's for
right? I
them.
think I think when you look at your struggle, because I struggled as well. In fact, my limiting belief was I didn't think I was somebody who should even be in a relationship long term, but that's a different story. Um, I think sometimes when you struggle and you see people around you who are in relationship and you see their happy marriages, at least on Facebook or social media or whatever, right? And you go, how come that doesn't work for me, right? You look for a reason because that's what our brain does. Our brain likes to find a reason. Well, if I can just find the reason is because of where I live, or the reason is because well, men are going to cheat on me, or the reason is because I'm too
I
old,
blew it.
or the reason is because it passed me by, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I blew it,
right.
or I mean, look. By the time I got to that as my excuse, I'd gone through a whole lot, a lot of stuff because I mean, ultimately, I think I didn't. I wasn't even sure I would get married. You know, gosh, my nose is itching, so I'm just going to itch it and then I'll stop it. Okay,
Okay.
then I don't have to worry about that anymore. Hi, I itched my nose. The reality is I find that I I never thought anyone would marry me, so that's a limiting belief.
Right.
So I wasn't sure if I wanted to get married, but it was a preemptive strike, if you will. It's like
Okay.
if my beliefs were in alignment with this idea that, oh well, I don't know if anybody would actually marry me, like if I was worthy of love, then I don't have to worry about it. And I don't know. I mean, I think sometimes when we're stuck with a limiting belief, like I think about that one, like the all men would cheat. It's
Right.
so weird, right? Because I never doubted you. I never had to worry about where you were, who you were talking to, or what you're doing. Or, I mean, it was something that was so foreign, even from the very beginning of our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at myself and I think, well, I'm not some kind of special unicorn of a person. So I know if I could let go of my limiting belief, this particular one, all men would cheat or
Uh huh.
whatever, or I'm not lovable, or no one will marry me, or I mean, the reality is when I started trying to think, okay, if I want great love, let me
Mm-hmm.
learn this like I would do anything else. But when I started looking about where to get help,
Okay.
this like practical advice wasn't so practical for me because it was like, oh, marry somebody from a good family. And I was horrified because guess what? I don't really come from the best family. Anybody relate?
Yeah.
I mean, my family was chaos and violence, and I love you meant I could smack you around, and I was treated as a second class citizen simply because I was female, and it's just like it goes on and on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, well, if somebody's looking to get married to somebody from a good family, I'm out of that ballpark. Like that's just not going to happen.
Uh huh.
And so I think in this way, it's like, how can we really get to the root of the problem when we realize it's a self-limiting belief? We realize it's our own prison sentence,
Oh.
right? Because
Yeah.
ultimately, when I was single, I enjoyed my life. I mean, I had a lot of fun being single. I had a great career choice. I had a lot of good things in my life. I had a lot of good friends. I had a lot of great experiences. But it's like we were talking to our neighbors the other night, our new friends across the hall, and we've been getting to know them in our new home. And so they're really sweet. I think they're coming up on their 5th wedding anniversary. And we just like adore them. And we've been doing like House of Dragons, watching parties at our place and their place. And I was telling the story about camping on Santa Cruz Island.
Right.
And I tell the story of the first trip and I'm like, oh, and of course I was single. Some people are coupled up. And then I'm talking about the second trip and I'm like, oh, and it's different people. Oh, and it's funny because some people swapped who they were in a relationship with. And I'm like, but I'm still single. And I think to myself, oh gosh, I spent, that was in the 90s. So I spent, my 80s. I graduated from college in 88, right? Then I spent all that time in the 90s, not a few relationships here and there. Then I spent the early 2000 to 2007 is where you and I finally connect, and 3/4 into the year of 2007.
Right.
So I think, well, how did I manage to sort of break out of these limiting beliefs? Because what we want you to understand is whatever your limiting belief, you've actually had the experience maybe in another part of your life where you've actually used to believe something and now you believe something totally different or the opposite of that. So hello, everybody. I'm just going to introduce ourselves. I'm going right in the intro. I am Orna Walters.
And I'm Matthew Walters, and this is Love Intervention. We are here to intervene in your love life and get you off the path of heartbreak and onto the path of long-lasting, soul-satisfying love. And tonight we're talking about limiting beliefs. And we're also taking your questions. So please, if you got any questions, throw them into the chat. We'll get to as many as we can. So let's talk about that idea, right? That there are things you used to believe. And one of my favorite examples is Santa Claus. I don't know how many of you people were raised to believe in Santa Claus, right? But a lot of us in the West were, right? And so what I mean by the West, right? Western culture. So at some point you discovered that there wasn't this guy who somehow magically, slid down the chimney, or if you lived in an apartment, I don't know how, maybe up the fire escape. I don't know how they got to you there. But there's this guy, right, who flew around the world and delivered gifts to everybody all in one night. And then at one point you discovered that this guy wasn't real. Now,
it's traumatic for some kids.
Right. I would guess that in that moment, that was like a pretty rough discovery. It wasn't an easy thing to handle. But now, being an adult, I imagine you look back on that and you probably can laugh about it, right? It's probably kind of funny. It's like, oh, right, as a kid, I did used to believe in Santa Claus.
Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy, the Easter Bunny, whatever. I mean, and look, find a Santa Claus equivalent or an Easter Bunny equivalent or a Tooth Fairy equivalent, because there are plenty of times in your life where you used to believe something and then you got more information and you're like, oh, that's actually not true. And if you can find those things where you've actually changed it yourself, like it doesn't serve me to believe this. Like, I'm going to give you another example from my own life.
Yeah.
So I remember, I really, and oh gosh, if any of my girlfriends are watching, I really love you all so much, but I hate the female gatherings like baby showers and bridal showers. There's something about the shower thing where it's all the ladies and the silly games that you play. And so those are not my jam for whatever reason. And we'll get into my psychosis another day. But the reality is I don't, those events make me uncomfortable. I like it better when there's a mix of genders. I don't know. It's just, I feel much more comfortable. I even had a Sweet 16 that had boys and girls, and my Sweet 16 was not all girls. And so for me, I think one of the things, when I sat in those, I never used to win the thing that I really wanted, or anything for that matter, in those silly games. And a lot of those were just luck, right? Like guessing how many cotton balls were in a jar, how many whatever. And I remember there was a shower, a baby shower that I was at, and I was sitting next to my friend Courtney. Courtney.
Yeah.
Hey, Courtney, if you're watching. And I'm sitting next to Courtney, and I didn't win anything. I think Courtney might have won something, but not the big prize or whatever. There was something that I really kind of wanted. It was a silly thing, but I wanted it, and I didn't win it. And I remember the dialogue in my head, the limiting belief was, I'm unlucky. Like, I don't win anything. So I remember driving home, there I am in my car hours later, and I'm thinking, or an hour, whatever, and I'm thinking, gosh, well, if I think I'm unlucky, then I am unlucky. So why don't I just decide that I'm lucky?
I like it.
And so I changed that. I decided I was the luckiest person, the luckiest person, the luckiest person. And so, I mean, we do this with our clients. Like a lot of clients, we'll ask them, do you think you have to be lucky in love? And they'll say, oh, yeah. And we're like, do you think then that you're lucky? And they're like, oh, no. So it's easier to make somebody believe that they're lucky than to believe them it doesn't require luck to have love. And so, right, we've done this with a whole bunch of clients where suddenly we're in this mix with them. We're like, oh, okay, well, if you think you have to be lucky to have love, let's make you the luckiest person.
Yeah, we had one client who she ended up winning the football pool, the Super Bowl
pool, yeah, at her
job, and she didn't know anything about football.
No,
right?
She worked at a pharmacy. She was a pharmacist, and she had never participated in the Super Bowl pool before. It's the thing where you pick the squares, and she said she knew she was going to win the jackpot. She won the final score, the big jackpot prize. She won all that cash, and she couldn't believe it because she really thought of herself as an unlucky person. And so, I mean, I don't know that I thought of myself overall as an unlucky person, like to that extreme of this client, although it did work. What we did with her worked. But I'm thinking to myself, it was funny because I started winning all of these things because I literally changed my belief that I changed the belief from I'm not lucky, I don't win things like the door prize or whatever, to I'm the luckiest person I know. I'm the luckiest person I know. And so I didn't just walk around affirming that. I mean, we do work with affirmations, but if you believe the opposite, you can't lie to yourself. So that's a whole nother story. But I instilled this new belief that I'm the luckiest person. And one of the reasons why I'm thinking about this right now is because I just went to this, so weird. I have not had officially had work done, but I'm 56 years old and I'm in menopause and I have a hormone doctor I go to. And yes, it's kind of at one of those Medi-Spa facilities. And I took a friend and we went down. And guess what? I won a $200 goodie bag. I won it. And they're out of all the people there, I was one of the people that won the goodie bag.
You're the lucky one.
Yeah. And so my friend that I brought was like, well, what's in there? And then she started seeing all the goodies I won in my goodie bag. And she couldn't believe. She was like, wow, you're really lucky. And I was like, yep. Yes, I am. Thank you very much. So what's funny about the baby shower story is I was sitting next to Courtney when I heard the voice that said I was unlucky. And then about a little more than a year later, I'm at another baby shower. And guess what? Courtney's sitting next to me and I won all the games.
All of them?
Pretty much.
Wow.
Almost all. It was started to be embarrassing. I was like, oh God, don't let me win another one. I literally was like, how do I fix this? So it started to be embarrassing. It was a rigged thing or something.
Right.
And Courtney was sitting next to me and she literally said my new affirmation out loud. She says, you are the luckiest person I know.
Wow.
Yeah. So I guess what we're getting at is identifying your limiting belief is the first step in being able to change it. Because you can't change anything if you're not aware of it first. Should we, you want to tell something? You want to tell a story? You want to introduce?
Well, I want to talk about limiting beliefs because oftentimes the way people think about them is they go, well, of course this is true. Because when I look back at my life, I look at all of these events and this thing is the common denominator. It's the reason all these bad things happen. All these relationships didn't work out, whatever it is, right? When we look back, that we logically try to make sense of it all and we can find a through line and that through line goes, well, it must be true, right? It must be true because look at all the evidence I have. And I think when you realize that it doesn't work that way, that actually works in the opposite, right? The way it works, truthfully, the way it shows up for us is first we have an experience. And in that experience, we go, I wonder if this is true.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm just going to point out, this is the seed, right? Think of it as the seed of a limiting belief or a belief, not even limiting, right? It doesn't have to be bad or whatever, any belief. So now the seed has been planted.
Thank you. I was going to get there.
I'm narrating.
Yeah. So we have this experience, right? And the seed gets planted. I wonder if this is true because this happened. And so what we do sort of instinctually is we look for evidence of that thing being true. Let's say, for example,
we literally go out on high alert looking
right,
for all the
let's
ways
say,
that this
for
could be
example,
true.
you're in kindergarten, right? And you do something kind of stupid, and your friend turns to you and go, "What are you, an idiot? You must be just stupid or something," right? And says something really mean to you.
Because kids are mean.
Because kids are mean, right? And you go, "Oh," and you go, "Huh, maybe I am stupid. I don't know. I don't think I'm stupid." But then something else happens that is maybe not the smartest thing because you're a kid, right? You go, "Oh, I just did another stupid thing," and then maybe you get a bad grade, and you go, "Oh my God, I guess I am a stupid person," right? And suddenly this evidence starts showing up everywhere of you being a stupid person. Now you may not be a stupid person, right? You're probably not. I would guess that you're not a stupid person. Yet you've had this first event which caused you to look for evidence of it being true, which caused you to find the evidence of it being true. And once you find enough evidence, that seed suddenly sprouts roots and it becomes a belief system. And then once it sprouts roots and becomes a belief system, you don't even think about it anymore. Your brain, your subconscious mind actually says, "Oh, you believe this now. So I'm going to make sure to highlight evidence of this belief out in the world because it's important to you. You've shown me how important this thing is to you because you've been thinking about it. You've been looking for evidence of it. And we found some evidence, and now it's a true belief, right? So I'm going to continue for the rest of your life to highlight evidence that this thing is true for you." Because that's what our subconscious does, right? It says, these have been your past experiences.
Yes.
And you survived your past experiences because as the subconscious, my job is to keep you alive. Now, its job isn't to get you to thrive or be happy or be successful. Its job literally is to keep you alive. And the way it keeps you alive is it keeps you the same. This idea of homeostasis, right? We have a physical homeostasis in our body. Your heart rate, your blood pressure, your body temperature, all have to exist within this very narrow range in order for you to survive. And if it moves out of that very narrow range, then you will possibly die.
No,
right?
you will.
Well, yeah, depending. I mean, you could go out and come back in,
Yeah.
but if you go out and stay out, you're going to die, right? So your subconscious likes to keep things within homeostasis. We have a behavioral homeostasis. We have an emotional homeostasis, and we have a belief system homeostasis, right? We have all these different systems that want to keep things the same. And so what your subconscious does is, when there's some evidence of the world that may indicate that you're stupid, your subconscious is going to go bing and put a light on it and go, here you go, here's that evidence.
Yeah.
Right? And so the first thing you have to do, when you know what your limiting beliefs are, is you have to realize, oh, I only see them because I believe them, not the other way around. You all right over there?
No, I lost my poof.
All right, I'll keep talking. So there's a question here. We got a question from Clint. And Clint says, I don't think I have any limiting beliefs, but I don't ever meet anyone who I feel like would make a good match for me. None of the guys I meet seem like they would make a good partner. How do I discover my limiting beliefs? This is a great question.
That is really like a gold star question.
This is the most important thing.
Yeah.
When you're trying to create anything, whether it's love or success or health or whatever, you got to look at what are the beliefs you have that might get in the way of you getting the thing.
So we're going to answer your question, Clint, but I'm just going to pause for a moment because maybe somebody just joined us and I just want to do another quick intro. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. My name is Orna Walters.
And I'm Matthew Walters. And this is Love Intervention. We are here to intervene in your love life, get you off the path of heartbreak and frustration, and get you on the path to long-lasting, soul-satisfying love.
Because you deserve it.
You do.
And life is so much better when you're partnered up with somebody. We always say, look, if you're happy and single, then why are you here? I mean, you're here because you want to know what are we drinking that we're still like madly in love with each other all these years later, and we work together on top of that. So it's like being married in dog years. So, I mean, whenever Matthew says we're here to intervene, I always want to say in a good way. We're here to intervene in a good way in your love life. So here's the deal, Clint. Look, if you're looking at none of the guys I meet seem like they'd be a good partner, it's because you might have a screening system that's leaving the space this narrow. And so if you have this really narrow screening place before you actually get to know somebody, you're actually dating backwards. So what we would say is the dating process isn't about you deciding through a profile or a first meet or a third meet if this is your person or not, right? Most people want to rush through the dating process and get to the commitment part because somehow they think that's a good idea. And I know in a lot of cultures that it's, it's frowned upon to date more than one person. But the reality is the dating process is in fact supposed to be a discovery process. And so through the dating process, you want to first discover about yourself. So you're not even invested about whether that person is a good match for you or not. So how do you discover your limiting beliefs? Go on a bunch of dates and start hearing your inner dialogue. Start paying attention to what's going on with you, and you'll discover more about yourself. And don't even worry about whether there's going to be another date or a future with this person or whatever. Just start with the discovery about yourself, and you'll start to discover your limiting beliefs. They will come to light. I promise you.
That's great. And I think that's one of the best ways to do it. Here's another exercise you can do to discover your limiting beliefs.
Yes.
So you're going to take a sheet of paper.
Similar to one
like this. You're gonna draw a line down the middle, and in the left column you're gonna write love is ... right, and then in the right hand column you're gonna write love is not ...
So fill in the blanks in the two columns,
and then you're just gonna fill in the blanks, and you're gonna just start with love is, right, and write as many things as you can to finish that sentence, right? Love is kind.
Thinking.
Love is hard to find. Love is, whatever. And then love is not. Love is not something that I have in my life right now. Love is not, I don't know, whatever it is, right? You're going to fill in the blank on both of those statements and write as many answers as you can. And then what you're going to do is you're going to look at the ones that pop up that seem to indicate that there's like something you believe that may be a problem. And you may find that there's a positive and a negative version of the same idea.
Yep.
And that's where you're going to go. You're going to pay attention because you're going to circle both of those, and you're going to go, oh, these two are tied together.
It's kind of like what's tied together, or where is there a pattern, or where is there some kind of system? What stands out? What's a commonality, right? So that's a great exercise too. Damn, that was good.
You got it.
Yeah.
That's what
really
we're here
good
for.
Stuff. All right, Teresa, I know we'll go to some of these other ones, but they started before. They're off topic, so we're going to do the topic one first. Teresa says, I hear you about limiting beliefs, but my experiences show me that my beliefs are true. And you know what? I'm glad you didn't type that with a capital T, because I'm going to point that out, that it is a small t when you say true, not a capital T, because you're right. They're true for you with a little t. They're not true in the universe. Nobody has cursed you, Teresa. So I'm just going to say that right there. You said, should I ignore the evidence in front of you? The thing is when, right, you say, I'm not sure what to do and my beliefs are confirmed over and over and over again. I'm going to let you go first.
Well, we kind of talked about this, and I'm going to say it in a really kind of straightforward way. The world appears to you as you believe it to be. So the world appears to you as you believe it to be. I'm going to say it one more time. The world appears to you as you believe it to be. Now, there's this phrase out there that we've all heard because of what's been going on, with social media and the election and all that kind of stuff, something called confirmation bias, right? We all have a level of confirmation bias, meaning we have a belief about the world, and because we have a belief, it narrows our view of the world. So if we believe a certain thing, like you said, your experiences have shown it over and over again. I would say the reason that your experiences have shown it over and over, that keeps getting confirmed, is because you believe it really strongly. And so you keep finding yourself in situations to reaffirm that belief.
And you're attached to it. Because here's the thing. When you believe something, it's not just an intellectual fact. Like, yeah, that's true. We got a lot of energy on these things, right? Mm-hmm. Like when I believed all men would cheat, I would literally be like, show me the guy you think is faithful. I'm going to tell you I'll get him to cheat. I mean, whatever. I mean, I'm not saying that's creepy. I know. I didn't mean to be creepy. I'm just saying, think about that the energy, the emotion attached to these limiting beliefs that don't serve you, right? Because when I realized that this limiting belief of all men would cheat, I was like, well, no wonder, I'm not really finding a great partner, right? Because it got confirmed again and again and again. So it's one of these things where it's, when you say, should I just ignore the evidence? Kind of. Yeah. But it's more than just ignoring it. It's about doing work to undo the small t belief, because they're not true. Right. You're having those experiences because you have the belief. Now, if you want a shortcut, Ding, 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 ding.
I
Who
like
wants a
shortcuts.
shortcut?
I like shortcuts.
Yep. Email us. I'm going to put it right in here. Email us. We could do a complimentary call. We could let you know. But the reality is this is what we do with our clients every day of the week, but not on Sundays because we take Sundays off. Yeah. But if you email us, we'll let you know how the shortcut works and all of that stuff. Because there is a shortcut to changing these limiting beliefs. As a matter of fact, do we know what her limiting beliefs are? We have a client wedding coming up October 1st.
Yeah.
This lovely woman, she's in her early 60s, never been married before. She has been with this man for some time. We wish we could be there, but they're getting married on October the 1st. And we just want to wish them well. But she was somebody who told us, and it's actually in her testimonial video. Mm-hmm. You can go to our website, loveonpurpose.com, and look for Karen's testimonial. She'll tell you, she hired us because she said, I realize I have all these limiting beliefs. She was where you were, Teresa. She's like, I don't know what to do about it. Well, we know what to do about it. It's not something I can solve here, in 2 minutes on a, love intervention, but it is something we do with our clients every day of the week. So every single success story you ever hear from Love on Purpose is about changing somebody's limiting beliefs because that's our wheelhouse. Yeah. We don't just talk about it because talking about it doesn't change your limiting beliefs.
Nope.
So anybody who wants to tell you they can change your beliefs by you talking about your beliefs is not telling you the truth.
Or just trying to talk the opposite, meaning using an affirmation that's the opposite of what you believe. That's, you can't sit there and have a house in foreclosure and 3 bankruptcies in the past and say, I'm an excellent money manager and make it true.
You're not doing anything.
You're not doing anything. So you can't convince yourself of something, like Teresa said, where the evidence is confirmed over and over and over again. You gotta start chunking it down and chipping away at it. One tip we will give you to chip away at it is just start looking for evidence of the opposite. Just look for evidence, right? So some people say, I don't really believe that there's any happy marriages out there. Like the people I know,
well, then maybe we should just make out for a
marriage.
minute. I don't know. I mean, look.
So hold on, let me finish. So,
yes.
So there are people out there who believe there aren't any happy marriages, right? And they say, well, I look at my brother and I look at my parents and I look at all these people in my life and they're not happy, right? And so what I want you to do is I want you to look for evidence of a happy relationship. And you could start with famous people because their relationships are always all over the news. Now, most of the time it's a car wreck.
But look at Tom Hanks.
Look at Tom. Thank you. It's just what I was thinking. Look at Tom Hanks, right? You can say, well, there's an example of a happy relationship. Tom Hanks and his wife. I just forget her name.
I know her name flew out of my brain, and I don't like that either, but it did.
Look for evidence, right?
Yeah.
Orna, when she was single, she did this really great thing, and I love this story. She would, whenever she met a couple that had been married for a long time, she would say, what's your secret?
I would ask, since my 20s, I've been doing it for over 3 decades. I would ask, what's your secret? And I've gotten some great answers. I've gotten some kind of, there's no such thing as a bad answer to that question. Mm-hmm. I think the best answer came from my father-in-law, actually. But then we have so many questions. I want to make sure we get to them.
Yes.
So if you're just joining us, it's Love Intervention. I'm Orna Walters.
I'm Matthew Walters.
And Stephanie's reminding us that Tom Hanks' wife's name is Rita Wilson. I know her name.
Stephanie.
Thank you so much. I don't know. I have menopause brain, and then he has sympathetic menopause brain. I don't know. But thank you. Of course, it's Rita Wilson. So thank you. All right. I want to stick with this limiting belief thing. And I'm looking over the questions that are in the theme, and then we'll go outside the theme. So Misha says, I have a great life. I'm best friends with my ex. I meet lots of great men, but don't find anyone I want to date. I'm happy with my life. I just think the right guy will come along when the time is right. Do I have a limiting belief, or is it just all about timing?
That's a good question.
You have a limiting belief because timing, are you kidding me? You have to make the time. How much time you got? I mean, wouldn't you want to spend the rest of your life with the love of your life, starting yesterday or tomorrow or New Year's, whatever? I mean, look, I was never just going to magically find this guy. I had to have an internal change. So the reality is if you are not, there's nothing wrong with you being happy with your life right now. I mean, if you're happy and you're great. So now I don't have no idea how old you are, but project yourself into the future. Are you still fine 5 years from now? Still not married? Still nothing? 10 years? 15 years, 20 years, 30 years.
Hmm.
You're on your deathbed. Like, I wouldn't get to my deathbed without having a great love life. I just wasn't going to do it. I was like, I came from a crappy family, so I didn't have good modeling about what a great relationship was supposed to be. I think my parents truly hated each other. I don't know how they stayed married for as long as they did. And I knew I was really messed up in this area. So for me, I am tenacious about a lot of things, but I was tenacious when I realized that I wanted to have a great love life. I knew that I had to take action to create what I wanted.
Yeah.
So you're saying, well, isn't it just going to happen when it's supposed to? I mean, no, because look, if it was just supposed to happen, how come it didn't work out with the ex that you're best friends with? I mean, that didn't just happen either.
That's such a funny phrase, when it's supposed to. So it implies this idea of fate, right? That
there's something stronger than your will.
That your life plan has been decided beforehand, right? And it's like, oh, this date, January 13th and 2031, that's the day you meet your soulmate, right? So until then, because it's written, right? It's when it's supposed to happen, because it's not supposed to happen right now. It's supposed to happen then. So what do you do until then? I guess, you could just do whatever you want, right? You could just live life up, because nothing's happening until January 13th of 2031. So it doesn't work that way. This is the mistake, right? This is like everything that we've been doing since we started creating Love on Purpose, which is busting this myth that love is just supposed to happen at some point by accident, when the fates meet, and kismet and all those other words that say, oops, I slipped on a banana peel and love just happened, right? No, it doesn't work that way. Maybe some people, the lucky ones.
The very lucky.
So you got to be very lucky then for that to happen for you.
I wasn't that lucky.
Right, I wasn't lucky either. But I don't think I'm an optimistic person. I don't think I'm unlucky. Right?
I don't think I'm unlucky. I just knew either.
That the way I was going about it.
I win all the door prizes.
There you go. The way I was going about it wasn't the correct way to go about it. I needed to change the way I was going about it. I knew there was something inside of me that was in the way. And that's what we want you to get, right? If it's not just happening, if it's not just, boop, and there it is, then, maybe there's something you want to look at about changing, because it's really up to you. And I'm getting on my soapbox now. You can tell I'm getting really passionate. It's up to you to take responsibility for your life, for your love life, for everything. You take responsibility for your finances, right? You take responsibility for your kids if you have them.
Your health, your
Ideally,
well-being.
you take responsibility for your health and well-being. So why don't you take responsibility for your love life and say, hey, maybe there's a reason why it hasn't worked, and maybe I can change that thing that's inside of me that's caused it not to work so that it can work in the future.
I'm going to join you on that soapbox. I like that soapbox. No, I mean, seriously, because love doesn't operate under some mysterious powers in the universe different from everything else.
Your twin flame showing up
tomorrow. It works like everything else in life. If you want to be healthy and in shape and fit, you got to take action. You want a great career, you got to get a skill set and get an education and all of that good stuff, and then go out and work at your career. And love is the same way. I know, because if anything was fated for me, it was for me to die alone and never have a great love. I changed my fate. Mm-hmm. So I'm not magic. I'm not a unicorn. So if I can change my fate, then you can change yours.
You know what? I changed my fate as well. This month, I am 20 years sober.
Aww.
So if I had just said, oh, well, I guess it's just fate. I'm an alcoholic. I guess that's just the way I'm going to be, right?
20 years, dude.
20 years.
I love you. That's amazing.
So you can change the course of your life. I guess is the point I'm saying. You can change the course of any aspect of your life. If your career is not working, you could change that. If your health is not working, you can change that. If your love life is not working, you can change it.
And only you.
Only you.
Only you.
Nobody's going to come along and save you. You got to save yourself.
Here's one of my pet peeve questions. I got to take it. Is attraction really that important?
Oof.
I'm going to stop right there and say, yes, 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 it is. You can't skip that attraction. You can't skip it. Can't hop over it like a bunny. You just can't. Look,
you got a song.
Liza, here's the deal. Do you think that we've never had a fight? Hello, we're two passionate people. I'll thumb wrestle you right now.
Okay.
All right.
You
Look.
cheated.
Hey, I don't cheat.
I know. I was just trying to start a fight. See?
Shakes fist. I want it on my record. Look, here's the deal. You come to get, I'm like, here's the deal, right? She says, all my married friends, the spice leaves once you have kids, and can I skip the attraction and marry a nice guy? You can totally do that, and however many years it takes you to realize that that isn't going to work for a lifetime, because you can't settle for a lifetime, we'll still be here. So if it takes you 10 or 15 or 20 years from now to marry the nice guy, have kids with him, get divorced, you just go to loveonpurpose.com and we'll be here for you.
Bookmark it.
Loveonpurpose.com. Because here's the deal. You cannot settle for a lifetime. You just can't.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 5 stages of relationship, and we all know the first stage is that romance phase, that intoxicating, I slipped in a banana peel, fell in love feeling, and all the yummy goodness, and our brain is making so many feel-good chemicals. It's like being on heroin. That's what they say. I don't know.
That's what all the scientists say.
I don't know, because I wasn't a good drug addict, so I have no clue. But that's what science says. And then guess what? That chemical high wears off, and you're just in relationship with a guy or a gal or a person who isn't perfect, who messes things up, who sometimes doesn't listen or picks a fight, or you have miscommunication, or
cheats at thumb wrestling,
or they say they're going to do something and they just don't. I mean, it's like, look, we are not here today because everything went right.
Nope.
Like so many things went wrong. But why do we stick it out with each other? Because of that yummy chemistry. Can't go without it. Can't go without it. So we're
going to make out for a little bit.
Okay. Look, no telling. We didn't want to gross anybody out. The dealio is you can't settle for a lifetime because you will have challenges. Look, every single one of you that's single right now, you have good days, you have bad days, you have great days, and you have challenging days. And the thing is, it's better to go through life with a partner, with a soulmate, with a beloved, because then all of your sorrowful days are cut in half. That sorrow gets cut in half when you share it. And guess what? Your joy is multiplied when you share it. And you can't fake that, and you can't settle for a lifetime.
No, you can't. So, yes, attraction really is that important, because without attraction, you will not survive the power struggle stage of relationship, because it just won't be worth it. You're like, why? I keep fighting with this person, and we don't have good makeup sex, right? I mean, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
I don't know why you'd hang it. I mean, I would say like there's like more than 30% of our clients are from the divorced, married, what we call the should guy, the nice guy, the should guy. Mm-hmm. More than 30%. And then the other more than 30% is going to be single, never married. And then what's left, like let's make that 65-ish percent, so 70%.
Well,
so the other 30% that's left, the 30% that's left are like, other outside of those two things. I got this funny tickle in my throat.
All right.
It's a live video, nothing I can do about it.
Well, you want me to take over for a while?
I just need to cough it out.
Okay.
I'm going to cover my mic. Sorry. There we go. All right, you want to take one at the top?
Take one at the top. Ella says, I just seem stuck, and I feel like I can't get the confidence back that I had in my 20s. I'm tired of feeling bad about myself, and I don't know how to turn things around. Whew, that's I hear you, Ella, right? I mean, when we're in our 20s, we feel indestructible, and we have that confidence of just entering the world, and we haven't yet had enough bad experiences to say, that our confidence isn't warranted, right? But as we get older, we have challenges, right? And those challenges can sometimes chip away at the beliefs we have about ourselves. Things don't work the way we want them to. Relationships don't oftentimes work out the way we want them to, and it chips away sometimes at our belief in ourselves. And what I want you to understand is you can always start again. You can always start again. And what I mean by that is just because that thing you thought you were doing was going to be the thing and it suddenly turned out to not be the thing doesn't mean that that defines who you are
Yeah.
as a person and your ability to make things happen, whether it's your love life, your career, or whatever, right? So you can always start again. And that's how I would advise you first off, right? You don't know how to turn things around? Start again.
And start
fresh
small.
and start small.
You know, the biggest mistake people make is they try to change everything about their life all at once. Don't do one thing, change one thing. Like if you're not drinking a whole lot of water, which I just consumed almost a whole glass, trying to clear my throat, start by drinking, 4 8-ounce glasses a day and see if you can get to 5. I'm just saying, like, it could be something like
decide you're going to meditate 10 minutes a day for 30 days.
Whatever, small. Pick one thing. So pick one thing and be consistent with that change, something that's good for you. It's not for anybody else. It's for you. Drinking water, meditating, going for a 30-minute walk every day. Pick one thing and set it on a calendar and try to do that one thing for 30 days. And once that's a habit, then pick one more thing that's for you and then do that and then do that. So people try to change way too much all at once, and that's how they screw up. Just pick one thing. Change one thing so you feel better about yourself. Keep all the promises you make to yourself. So when you make an agreement with yourself, it's like you are your own best friend. You got to keep that promise to yourself.
You know, I heard this great definition from karma. It was this monk who was speaking, and he was talking about karma and how it works and everything. And he said, guilt is one of the most useless emotions because once you do something that you should feel guilty about, meaning something that's going to hurt your karma, it gets marked on the ledger of karma. Right? It's like you may not have instant karma where the thing you did comes right back on you right away, like in the next day or week or year. It's not like a boomerang. Sometimes it's years later, sometimes it's lifetimes later, depends on what you believe, right? But that thing that you want to feel guilty about, it's already marked that you're gonna pay for it. So the guilt is just like an extra tax that you're putting on yourself on top of the thing that you're already gonna pay for. So let go of the guilt, right? Guilt is really not a very useful emotion in my mind. And that's one of the reasons why people feel bad about themselves, because they feel guilty because they haven't accomplished what they thought they were going to accomplish in their life. That's why I brought that up. Just bring it back around to the question.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking we were watching, I can't remember that comic's name the other night. We turned it off after like 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
The guy with the funny name starts with a P.
Yeah, Patton Oswalt.
Patton Oswalt. Not funny, but I'm the one with the funny name. I say the funny name. That's hilarious. And what I thought was hilarious was at the beginning, he was talking about, didn't you start off the whole pandemic year of 2020? Didn't you come out gangbusters? Like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to change, and I'm going to do all these things I never have time to do. If I only had, you think all the time, if I had a month off, and suddenly we all got all this time. I mean, it wasn't necessarily off, and it was a pandemic, and it was scary. But right, what did you do? And it's like, I think about all that we did in 2020. Because the reality is nobody wanted coaching.
Nope, nobody was dating.
Yeah, because everyone's like, I'm not, even the client that had paid us are like, I'm not scheduling anything. So let's see, in 2020, I sang every single day for 30 days.
Yeah.
And I would have never been confident to sing in a live stream before and make up a song, which I do all day long around the house. But I would have never been able to do that like what I just did earlier today if I hadn't sang every single day. I signed up for a class, an online thing, and I literally had an assignment, and I sang every single day for 30 days without fail. Remember?
Yeah. And
I'm not a good singer, but I can fake it, and I faked it today, and I made up a song, but I faked my way through the class. And just kidding. I mean, I literally sang into my circular hairbrush. We sing, all the girls, you sing in your hairbrush. And so why did I sing in my hairbrush? I sang in my hairbrush because I reminded myself I'm doing this for fun. And I realized I'm never going to be like a professional singer, but I love to sing, and I got better at it. So I improved. So I'm happy about that. But the other thing that we did with that time is we reached out to all of our past clients. Mm-hmm. So we got a ton of people that we hadn't heard from in forever.
Yeah, right? Who were like, oh, I got married. And
I'm getting engaged, right? Baby number 3, right? Whatever. All this good news came pouring into our inbox. And then for past clients, a whole bunch of them we went and recorded a bunch of like interviews with them about what their life is like now. And that's what we spent doing 2020. And you know what? It's all showcased on our brand new website. So we would not, yeah, we wouldn't have any of that. So I'm gonna put that up because I want to show it off. If you haven't been to our new site, kids, a lot of the stuff that's in there we were collecting in 2020 because we were like, how can we be of service? And the other thing that we did was, how can we be of service? We started doing videos, 3 days a week?
Yeah, that Facebook group.
We wouldn't be doing this live stream now if we hadn't had that experience.
Right. We did 3 days a week. We did like 20, 25-minute long videos. And some of them were Ask O&M, right? Ask questions. So
Ask O&M.
It was kind of like the seed that was planted for what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Right? We remind people what we're doing right now.
It's love intervention. This is where we intervene in your love life to get you on the path from heartbreak to long-lasting, soul-satisfying love, love, love. We're all about the love. It's all about love. I am Orna Walters.
I'm Matthew Walters, and we're taking your questions. So let's get back to the questions. We've got Nick. Nick says, there's this woman who I really like, but I'm not sure if she's using me or if she really likes me. Ouch. She recently broke up with her boyfriend, and we've been spending a lot of time together. She keeps telling me how much she likes my company and what a great guy I am, but nothing seems to happen beyond that. Am I stuck in the friend zone?
Nick, what up here? How do you not know? Because you're waiting for her to make a move on you. Yeah. That's not her job. Go kiss her. And if she kisses you back, there's probably something there, and then you can have a conversation after the makeout session about what's going on between you. But if you're not making the move to kiss her, you're never going to know.
And if you make the move to kiss her and she's like, whoa, dude, what are you doing? Then you're in the friend zone.
Yep.
And, unless you want to be in the friend zone, maybe, she ought to go find somebody else's shoulder to cry on.
And hang out with.
Yeah.
I mean, the reality is I don't understand it when guys don't make that move. There are a lot of women who will make the first move. Many of them become our clients. I mean, no, seriously. Yeah. I mean, I met this guy. It was New Year's Eve, 2001. I didn't meet him then, but he was in a peripheral friend group. If you move out, right? And so we knew each other, but we really connected on New Year's Eve, 2001. I don't think he kissed me at midnight. Anyway, I'm trying to remember, but at any rate, I had a number of these different guys. That one didn't work out. I think maybe I did make the move on New Year's Eve 2001. Okay, I'm going to tell the story. I found it. So because I had bad experiences with the guys where I made the first move and went and made the the kissy move, I made the first move on that. So because I made the first move, it never ended up well. So when I started looking backwards at what's gone wrong? And I was like, oh, I made the first move. I made the first move. I made the first move. Right? It's like, whoa. So I decided I'm not doing that again. Not gonna do it. Nope, can't make me. So now I'm on a first date with a guy, and he's hot. And we go out. I know you know who he is.
Yeah.
And I am house sitting for my friend who's like a record producer. So it's like, a house in the Hollywood Hills. It's a view you've seen a million times in every movie with all the twinkly lights of the city below. And we're sitting in the backyard at the end of our date when he's taking me home where I was house sitting. And we're sitting there with this gorgeous view, and it is getting later and later and later. And I gave him every signal in the book. Okay, girls, here, we're going to cover it right now. 3 signals to let a guy know you want him to kiss you. Number 1, touch him anywhere. His shoulder, his face, his hand, his knee. Touch him somewhere. Lean in when he's talking and give eye contact. Eye contact. Eye contact.
Lean in.
Contact. Lean in. Ooh. You could do that little Jennifer Aniston when she's Rachel on Friends, where she leans in, tosses her hair, and sighs a little bit. You're trying so hard not to kiss me right now. It's hilarious. You can give a guy all the green lights And that guy will eventually kiss you because this guy finally, I mean, it is getting late. It is getting late o'clock. And he did not kiss me until he finally did. I said there was going to be 3. Is there a third one? Eye contact, leaning in, touch him. Politely, nicely, but touch.
Just a simple hand to the knees.
Touch, or to the shoulder, or to the cheek, to the whatever.
Or did you say, and you just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they can see that, but
well, it's fine.
So touch, lean in, eye contact. Okay, those are 3 things. So finally this guy kisses me. And because I don't have a very good edit button, I blurt out, oh my God, I didn't think you were ever going to do that or something. I didn't think you were ever going to do that. And he starts laughing and he says, I was waiting for you to make the first move. And literally, because I had no edit, I said, the sun would have come up first. The sun would have come up. Because I knew every single time I made the first move, it didn't ever go well. So Nick, make the move. Guess what? That woman probably wants to be in a relationship with a guy. Right? And so the guy needs to be a man. Step up, be the man, go to kiss her. She'll either kiss you back or she won't, and you'll have the information that you want. Because I don't know her, so neither does Matthew.
Yeah, we
don't know if you're in the friend zone, but you have a great way to find out. And we have a really great little clip we can take. 3 signals you can give a guy if you want to.
There you go.
Want him to kiss you. You got to let the nice guys know that the water's warm. You really do. And they just don't do subtle.
In this age of consent, especially.
It's in the age of consent.
How romantic is it to go, is it okay if I kiss you right now? I get it, right? You don't want a guy groping you. You don't want, people doing things that like, look, dude, I got my boundaries. You don't, that's kind of rude.
It's more than that because constantly we hear from women. We just had a client ask us, how do I subtly let a guy know, fill in the blank? You know how you do that? You know how you subtly let a guy know? You don't. You don't let a guy subtly know anything. There's no subtlety. You literally tell him. Like, you know what? This guy, you know what the most romantic thing in the world is when I ask my husband for something and he does it. Do you know that I get a foot rub pretty much every night?
That's right.
Yeah. Why?
Because she asked for it.
So how can I subtly ask you for a foot rub?
I guess you could start putting your foot towards my face, but that's not very subtle.
That's rude. Why would I put my feet towards your face? Your face?
Dude, here's my feet, right?
Yeah, hey, dude, here's my feet. Anyway, I get a foot rub every night. You know why? Because I'm married. My husband likes rubbing my feet, and I ask him.
All right.
Okay.
We have, we're going to do one last question here in the little bit of time we have left. We're going to go with LD. And LD says, my mom has become a caregiver to her boyfriend. This has impacted my desire to get into a relationship again for fear of it happening to me at some point. Thoughts? Well, LD, the first thing I'll say is you are not your mom. So you do not have to be cursed by your mom's behavior. And I don't mean cursed in your mom's cursed. I just mean just because your mom does something doesn't mean you have to do it.
I think this is interesting. We had a client a few years ago get married. And as she was getting into a serious relationship with this guy while we were still coaching her, she said he has a lot of health issues. And after they got engaged, she came and talked with us about it. And she said, they're both adults, and she didn't have children, but he did, and grandchildren. And but they have their own money. They're coming together as adults later in life. And she said, I don't want to be stuck. I don't want to be stuck taking care of somebody. If something happens to him. And we did a really simple question with her, right? Because right now, this is a hypothetical question for you. So you're just making up problems.
I mean, do you have a pattern of being a caregiver in relationships?
Yeah, I don't. So, but that's a whole, let me finish this thought first. So what was interesting is we said, do you love, her fiance? We're like, do you love him? She says, oh, yes, absolutely. We go, okay, so you can get him in his condition and you're on the path to marrying him and you get what you get. Or you can meet someone else and you can give it a go, but that guy's totally healthy. Which one are you picking? And she's like, no, I'm not leaving my fiance. And we're like, so what are you worried about? Because you can actually marry the second guy. Like she interrupted me. Like I didn't get to finish the part of the question, which is That guy who comes to you healthy without the health concerns could just drop dead of a heart attack. And she goes, oh, I didn't even think about that. Or he could be in an accident and be crippled. She's like, oh, I didn't think about that. Right? So love requires risk. And what you're saying is you're not willing to risk. So you're either not willing to risk your heart, you're not willing to risk your time, you're not willing to risk your finances, you're not willing to risk being what?
Vulnerable.
I mean, we have friends that have a spouse with a debilitating disease.
Yeah, we have a dear friend who, a couple of years ago, her husband was diagnosed with a incurable disease that will end his life shortly, and along the way will actually take away most of his motor skills. Now, they were married for quite a while before that diagnosis came along.
And they're madly in love with each other.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I mean, look,
it's part of the risk of life. None of us gets out of here alive, right?
And none of us know what the future holds. So you're saying you don't want to be a caregiver in the future. Well, that's like saying I don't ever want to love somebody, because when you love somebody, you are caring for them.
Yeah, but maybe don't date people who need a caregiver right now.
That's a good place to start.
That's a good place to start.
I mean,
right?
Life is ironic. So you could end up in a relationship and you could be the one who ends up needing a caregiver, and maybe your spouse or boyfriend or whoever is taking care of you. I mean,
or maybe you just commit to making so much money that you can hire people to come into your house and be caretakers for you.
I mean, all I know is we don't know what the future is. We don't know what the future holds. And when we start thinking about how do I plan for this future I'm unsure of, we're literally making ourselves crazy. Right. So if you're spinning what if, well, what if? I don't know. I mean, we don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world. There's a lot of uncertainty about how long any of us are going to be here. I mean, I don't want to curse any of you, like something's going to happen to you or something's going to happen to us. I mean, I think we're going to be here, Matthew and I, doing this work. I know we have a lot of people to help. So I think there's a reason for us to be here doing this work for a long time. But I don't know. I mean, I get worried every time he goes out on his bicycle. I do,
But I'm not going to stop riding my bicycle, right? Yeah. Because something might happen. I love riding my bike, and I need exercise to stay healthy and live long.
Yeah.
Right. So there were risks in life. I would say a couple things. One, if your mother is unhappy being the caregiver to her boyfriend, right? That's something that she needs to come to terms with.
But it sounds like she just has judgment about it.
Right. You may have judgment about it, but also if you have a fear of this pattern, you want to first look at your past relationships and say, are you the person who takes care of the other person's emotions, takes responsibility for the other person's happiness, right? Are you constantly going into sacrifice in your relationships? I can see why you would have a fear of becoming a caregiver in the future, because that would be an old pattern. However, if that is not the case, you don't have any kind of pattern like that at all, I would say don't worry about it, because that's not part of your makeup around love. But if, either way, if you're really concerned about it, you should just reach out to us at Support at Love on Purpose and set up a soulmate strategy call. And we could, look into what's really going on.
Yes. So this has been fun. Yeah. We've got some new things cooking up for y'all, so stay tuned. We're going to be back with the next love intervention on October the 11th. Please check out our new website. We put a lot of time and energy and effort into our brand new website. The blog is chock full of so much content. Literally, Google loves us for that content. Thank you, Google. The Google gods have shined upon our blog, so you can too. So check it out. There's a great search. If you go to the blog, the little blog menu, it'll be the main blog page. Scroll down towards the bottom of that page above the footer. There's a search bar, and you can search for any of these topics that you're asking us about. Limiting beliefs, dating red flags, how to date for your soulmate.
Going into sacrifice, all of it.
Yeah.
So this has been Love Intervention. We forgot to say, give us a like on Facebook, share this, tag your friends on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell. We want to thank our team.
Thank you so much.
You guys
we couldn't do it without
great.
you. And thank you, those of you listening, because if you weren't here, we wouldn't be either. So thanks for being here tonight, making it worth our time and yours, I hope. We hope this love intervention has sort of turned things on its ear for you to think about love a little differently, because remember, most love that happens by accident is somewhat dysfunctional. So when you choose to create love on purpose, you can create love on your own terms.
That's right.
Have a great night.